back again for another hay demonstration. I'm Christine Gelly and this is Brent Rains. We have already mowed and conditioned this morning.
Yep.
And now we have tedded and we're raking right now. So Brent, you want to tell us a little bit about some tips for tedding with Krone equipment?
Well, Krone manufactures tedders from 18 feet, which is our most popular size machine. It'll take the working width from two standard 9-foot mower conditioners, and we go all the way up to 60 feet. So just like on our mower, on the mower offering, we have a size that will fit just about any operation, no matter where you might be located. Then when we start raking, we have rakes from about 9 feet all the way up to 60. So same thing, we utilize rotary rakes, which we feel are superior in windrow formation and also ash content, which is very, very important.
Right, so tell us some more about that ash content from a livestock perspective. We don't want too much ash in our feeds. It can cause some digestive upset, but where does that ash come from, and how does it get too high?
Well, there's ash that naturally occurs in the crop, as it's being grown and it's being harvested, and the only way to harvest a crop and not have any kind of contamination, I guess I would say, is maybe a sheep or a goat, that nibble the grass off and consume it right as it goes. So what happens is when you take the crop and you have to drag it across the ground. You have to move it across the ground, and if you're making bale silage, you've got a wet medium that you're moving across, with some styles of rakes, and then you get, sticks and raccoons and whatever else is out there. Yeah, bugs, but you have a tendency, most times our customers tell us when they send their tests to the lab to analyze their forages, to do their ration planning, they're finding with a rotary rake the ash content's low.
That's good to hear. Another thing that we wanted to mention today in the demonstration was why do we even ted this crop today?
Well, we did it. Naturally, when we're going through the field with a tedder, we want to throw the wettest hay the furthest. And we would like to eliminate any piles or any irregularities in the crop. We want it to look like a big green carpet, when we get done. So we try to do that. And there's ways that we have our ground speed, we have our PTO speed, and then also we have the angle of the tedder, as far as what kind of a rainbow, if you want to ted it out flat, some guys do, and then some guys want it to look like a speedboat going across the lake, with a big rooster tail. So it just kind of depends. But then when we get into raking, like what we're doing today, this crop, obviously it's a marginal crop. It's an ornamental grass.
It is.
Probably K31 fescue, designed to hold up to car tires.
Exactly.
And so what we might be doing is just to get the crop off from the previous year, because we've had some kind of a crop failure or we've had some kind of a weed infestation, and we just need to bale it up and get it off. So that's basically what we're doing here. We're just cleaning it up, and that will give you the ability to do that. This rake that Aiden is running now is unique in the fact that it makes either one windrow or two. So if you need to feed a small square baler, or you've got a real heavy crop and your harvesting equipment, your baling equipment won't handle a monster windrow, or it won't go under your tractor, you have the option to make two instead of one. So he can make two 11s, or he can make 120 with this one. And we make 3 different models that allow us to have the flexibility to do 1 or 2.
So today's crop, we would consider this too dry to ted in most situations, and that has to do with it being droughty here on the site. There's already not very much water in this forage. It's ornamental. Much of the red clover that was here has now senesced for the season, and we're left with that Kentucky 31, yellow, foxtail, just not a lot of moisture or quality forage on the ground. So we're already dry to start with. And then it's been nice and sunny. We've had a light breeze. We had good drying conditions. So if this were a field we were trying to bale under normal conditions, we probably could have skipped straight to raking.
We could have gone right to the raking process. That's right.
And that's something that people should consider, especially when you're baling legumes like alfalfa, because when the plants get too dry and they become brittle, you put yourself at a risk for a lot of leaf shatter, and the leaves are the most nutritious part of the plant. So you want to keep as many of those on the plant as possible.
That's just like little dollar bills on that plant.
Exactly. So we've got to be careful with how we condition those crops, how we ted those crops, how we rake those crops, before we even get them into the bale at the proper moisture. Now, university research from across the country suggests various dry matter ranges for certain steps of the haymaking process. You definitely want to get your alfalfa processed in, raked, and ready to go before it reaches 35% dry matter. So you want it wetter than 35%. If it's drier than 35%, you're definitely going to have significant leaf shatter. For grass hay, it's recommended to shoot for a range around 50%. That's also true for legumes. But you have more flexibility with your grasses because the leaf blades are larger and less fragile. So it's really important to be delicate with those legumes so you don't lose your valuable crop.
You know, one of the situations that guys, how big a windrow can I bale? Well, most of today's modern round balers and big square balers have tremendous appetites. They can eat a lot of crop. The problem is being able to get that crop underneath your tractor. You know, your drawbar, it depends on your tire size, depends on your tractor model. You know, there's a lot of variables there. I've seen some customers that have put on the front of a tractor, they'll put a roller, you know, especially when they're doing straw, you know, to move the crop mat down. And I've also seen guys that will put like manure spreader floor, plastic liner underneath their tractor so that it's smooth underneath, because and also use a short hitch pin. Use the shortest hitch pin that you can find, because you don't want that big old pin sticking down in the pot, and then you start gathering a great big mat, and then you got a huge mess that feeds in, and it'll do the same thing. Sometimes it'll ball up on the drawbar or whatever. So the way that your windrow is presented, ideally you'd like to have it as wide as your tractor, as wide as your pickup on your bed, so that it eliminates having to do a hula dance, you know, and do the weaving going down through the field. You know, make it as wide as you can, as wide as your pickup will allow it, but still so that it'll go underneath your tractor without creating big balls and big unopportune presentation to the bale.
Right. So we want to save as many trips across the field as we can, do as much work at once as we can, but we also don't want to overload our baler by making our windrows too big. So do as Brent suggested and make your windrows the right size, and perhaps consider setting your rake differently if you're encountering issues. We are going to be back again for another demonstration where we will bale this crop. We hope that you'll come back and see that demonstration. Brent and I will be here again tomorrow to show you what we're getting into.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.